All right, welcome to the Create Your New Life real estate training, real estate session that we do every week, typically on Thursdays, 11:30. Excited for another rendition of the Create Your New Life session. So glad that everybody's able to make it. Thank you for joining. Definitely want to say thank you for those that are maybe taking a look at it, checking us out, that are not Brooks and Davis agents. We're always looking to meet, sit down, and take part with, talented individuals. We're aggressively looking to recruit, grow our agent count. So definitely want to say welcome as we give you a little bit of insight of, what we're doing over here at Brooks and Davis. So I named it Building a Solid Foundation. So what we're going to be doing today is that what I've been doing is, I've talked about the Agent Development Institute, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about it today. And so what I'm doing is kind of pulling some pieces out of it. And I'm going to be doing that for us to go through, because there's some great nuggets in that program, that coaching program, that I really believe will be good as far as we're getting together and kind of looking at that. Like, we went through the work, we work with the buyers, work with the sellers, we work with the tenants. So we have those processes populated. We've looked at top agents and things like that. So I think it's a good time for us to start looking at building foundation for business. So we're definitely going to be doing that. The quote. So I actually used the same quote that I had last week because I didn't talk about it. I neglected to talk about the quote. So this quote, it says, if your dreams do not scare you, then it is too small. And the interesting thing about it is that actually the quote fits better for some of the things that we're going to be talking about today than it did last week. So I'm kind of glad that I forgot to mention the quote, because it makes more sense for some of the things that we're going to talk about. But I actually got this quote from one of my past clients, good friend of mine. He owns a business, and he texted me that quote last week, and I told him I was going to use it in my session, and I did. But I mean, what it says is it's true. If whatever you're dreaming, whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're trying to achieve or accomplish, if it doesn't kind of scare you some bit, doesn't give you a little bit of apprehension of it, not necessarily saying that you can't do it, but it's just that big, then you probably need to upgrade your dreaming. You're never going to go past how far you think you can achieve, or that you think you can achieve. So you're never going to go past that. One of the quotes that Henry Ford said was, whether you think that you can or you think that you can't, either way, you're right. And it's all about the thinking. And we're going to talk about that today in today's session as well. So put on your seatbelts. We're going to have us a good time today in the Create Your New Life session. So, before we get started into all of that, we're going to go and kind of deal with the business of things. So let's kind of look at that. The business of things, Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. So right now we're at about $4.2 million of production that's on our pending board. We definitely want to continue to move forward as far as adding new production. That's buyers under contract, sellers under contract. Definitely, as we're going into this summer season, you should have really, if you did the work the first quarter, if you plugged in your pipeline, if you lead generated, if you went on a blitz of making your contacts, scheduling appointments, being focused, then you should start seeing things turn over as we go into these summer months. Kids are out of school. If people are going to transition, they're really going to be transitioning during this time. So I have my fingers crossed that you all did the work during the first quarter as far as front loading your pipeline, so we can see them coming out now during the summertime. Remember, it's a cyclical business. Things tend to slow down as we get towards the holidays. So now's the time when you need to be laying it all on the table and doing whatever you need to be doing to front load your pipeline and get people in your pipeline, right? While it's hot going into the summer. So that's our production for right now. as of this week. The top 5 producing agents, they're actually still the same that they were last week, so it's okay that I didn't change that date. But our #1 agent is still Mrs. LaQuanta Davis, my favorite agent. Yes, there is a level of bias. There's a level of preferential treatment when it comes to her. So, and I don't have any problem admitting it. But she is the #1 agent right now when it comes to production on the board. And then that's followed by Don, Miss Washington, Margaret, and Brittany Holly. So that's our top 5 producing agents as it stands. Okay, so we're so excited about how the fact that we made our 60-day cycle number these last 2 months. So it was the first time that we ever did it. We have been doing the 60-day cycle since August of last year. And this was the first time that we reached our goal of $4.1 million. And I was just so ecstatic about it. So we added it to the board. We've added it to the list. The Why Not You session cycle was the very first one that we've ever reached our goal. And I'm ecstatic about it. So beginning next week, next session, we're going to have us a new 60-day cycle. So get ready. Just need to spend some time thinking about it. We are going to go up on our goal, at least 20%, if not more. And we're going to, crank it out and move towards hitting that goal as we continue to move up. So just want to revisit that fairly quickly as far as our 60-day cycle. And the fact that we did it. Yes, we did. We did it. Okay, so I actually had I've been doing my Meet the Mentors with ACC. And originally on the 27th was supposed to be my second training session. But they decided to cancel classes on that day and invited the students out to the HBREA Mixer, or the Houston Black Real Estate Association Mixer. Well, on Tuesday, they wanted to know if I could come by this Thursday as their end of semester session. So I agreed. We're actually going to be sponsoring the meal for the students. So I'm going to go today. And again, the same deal is there. If anybody wants to meet me at ACC at 6:30 today, you don't have to do nothing. I'm going to be talking. We're ordering them some pizza or whatever so they can, this is their last class session. It's a grand opportunity for us to recruit and pick up individuals, because these are people that have taken all 6 real estate classes. Some of them have taken the test. Some of them have not taken the test. Some of them have, are already licensed. So it's a good pool of people to be able to engage in. So as we talk about the Realtor Recruitment Rally, if anybody comes out of that class and you attended with me, then you get credit for assisting. So now, yeah, I do want you to do more than just sit there in the class and look at me talk. I would like for you to, if you do attend, for you to engage, ask people about kind of how the experience is going, what if they are with a company or if they're not, get an idea of if they've taken the test or if they haven't, and want to just connect with you on that. Just to let you know that opportunity is still there for today at 6:30. If you want to meet me at ACC and put yourself in a position to where you can recruit some agents and get that 5% override that we talk about. So we're going to be doing that today. Right into the recruitment rally. Again, we want to double our agent count. So any agent that joins that was referred by you as you're telling people about what we have here to offer, we've updated our website. So sending them to our website, to the new career webpage, is a great, excellent resource to assist in you explaining what it is that we have to offer. In addition to that, there's a video on that page of me going through the things that we offer at Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. So whether a person chooses our company or not, they're not going to be able to say they don't know what we have to offer or what makes us different. They're not going to be able to say that, because we're extremely intentional about being clear on what our value proposition is as a brokerage firm. So again, if a person signs up for Brooks and Davis, you refer them, you get 5% of their production for life, 5% override, as long as they're producing there with Brooks and Davis, you get that 5%. So it's an excellent opportunity. And again, if you come to ACC and we get an agent, we develop them from ACC, because you attended, because you came, then that's some mailbox money for you. So we want to put you in a position to where you can be successful. Okay. All right. Let's see what's next. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about protecting our industry from national media. Now, I know you all hear me talk a lot about, that you need to read, right? You need to read the magazines. You need to look at videos. You need to read the paper. You need to see what's going on, because it does a couple of things. Number one, it puts you in a position where you can be seen as an expert. You have to be seen as an expert when it comes to this business. If somebody's going to pick you over somebody else, if somebody, it takes time for people to garner enough trust and competency to make an initial step in reaching out to you. So they need to be bombarded on numerous occasions in numerous different ways, so they can really see you as the top of your game and as an expert, so they can not only use you, but they can refer people to you. It's a major trusting that goes into that. So I'm constantly speaking with you all about, you need to be reading the magazines, you need to be reading the paper, you need to be doing these things, because it is going to position you to do that. Well, in my reading of well, actually, I was looking at a video, a daily video cast that I get a report. It's called the National Real Estate Report. I highly recommend you all to subscribe to that, because it really gives great insight from a national standpoint on what's going on about our industry. So it's the National Real Estate Report. I'm sorry, the National Real Estate Post is the name of it. Well, on one of the episodes, and they're small episodes, they may last about 5 minutes or so. They're not that long, but they're good, and there's a lot of good energy. They're entertaining. I like them. Well, one of them, they talked about this article right here, and the article says it's from CNBC, and it's a collaboration with Nerd Wallet, who did the analysis. This was April 7th, and it said, here's how much more it costs to own versus rent a home in every U.S. state. And no, I did not read that wrong. The title of this article, nationally syndicated, CNBC.com. At the time yesterday when I looked at it, it had 19,000 shares already of this video. Here's how much more it costs to own versus rent a home in every state in the U.S. Now, when you look at this video, they got a little commercial. We passed commercial. We got 4 seconds for the commercial's over. All right. When you look at this video, and they have an article, video's 1 minute. Just check it out. It's crazy. They're saying it costs 30 to 35% more to buy in Florida. 40 to 45% more to own a home than it is to rent a house. Look at that, 55% more to own a home than to rent a home. 55% more in Texas to own a home than to rent, right? They've already had 19,000 shares of this video. Owning versus renting. $95% more to own than to rent in New Jersey, according to this. So 19,000 shares. And here's the article, and it kind of reads through it. It talks about what they did to come up with the analysis. And even at the bottom of it, it has an interactive map, and you can hover over the map wherever your state is, and it'll tell you the percentage that it costs higher for you to own a home than it is to rent a home on a monthly basis. Now, this right here is wrong, period. You and everybody I know, and if you've spent any time in real estate, boots on the ground, you know that it does not cost more money to to own a home than it is to rent, especially in this market. We know that's not the case. So when I talk about protecting our industry, we have to make sure that when we see stuff like this, we have to do something about it, right? Let me tell you what I did. So I read this article, and I see the premise of it, right? And the premise of it was to say that on a monthly basis, and the link to the article is in the agenda for today's meeting. The premise of the article is is to yeah, I just go with Margaret. That was good. All right. So, but the premise of the article is that on a monthly basis, although you get long-term benefits from owning a home, now they admitted that. Now they kind of skirted past it. They didn't spend no time on it, but they admitted that you get long-term benefit, financial security and stability, tax deductions, and it being a vehicle for retirement savings. They said that. But they said, with that being said, though, and even though renting can't offer those long-term benefits, they said it's cheaper to rent on a month-to-month basis. When you look at, and this is what they looked at. You look at down payment or having to save money for a down payment. They're saying renting can help you save money for a down payment. They also said that it's an extremely expensive or competitive market. Renting may be better for the long haul. Renting may be better for the long haul in a competitive market. So look, take your time. I'm not going to read the whole article for you, but that's the tone. They even talked about down payments, and they said that, there's in most instances, doesn't include down payment that's required to buy, which is traditionally, listen to the verbiage that they use. Down payment is traditionally 20% of the home price for conventional mortgages. 20%. Who is buying a house that they're living in and having to put 20% down? Like what are we in the 1920s, the 30s, when that's when it was? I don't know the last time somebody had to pay 20% in a house that they lived in. So, but again, 2017, this is what's being presented. And then they have the audacity to say 20% of the home price for conventional mortgages, but it is lower for FHA or VA loans. It is lower, really. Can we say it is like 17% lower? Can we say that? But again, we got to protect our industry. So let me tell you what I did. So I wrote a rebuttal. I wrote a rebuttal to the article because look, somebody got to say something. So I felt like I needed to say something. And I wrote this rebuttal, and I took this rebuttal and I emailed it to a couple of reporters at the Houston Chronicle to let them know, now if they put it in the Chronicle, they do it. If they don't, I'm gonna put it on my social media. I'm gonna send it to my circle of influence, and I encourage you to do the same. But we have to rebut this. This is foolishness. This is foolishness. And in my article, let me tell you what I talk about, because I don't even debate the long-term effects, because they admitted it. They said, well, owning a home, it has long-term benefits. I get that. I went toe-to-toe with them about them saying that it costs more per month, because that ain't even true, because you're dealing with historically low interest rates, and you're dealing with massively high vacancy rates on the rental market, which is causing competition, which is causing your rental rates to be higher. So it's more expensive to rent per month than to own a home when you talk about a mortgage. We know that. So I don't know what nerd Waller was thinking. So that's what I go toe to toe with him on in this this rebuttal, this article piece. And I talk to him about, I give him a little bit about my credibility, but the biggest part is I paint a picture for him. And this was a real life case study for one of my clients that in 2012, they rented a home and the rental rate was $1,400 a month. And then for 2.5 years, well, about 2 years, 2 months, they rented that house, right? And over those 2 years, the rent had increased. And by the time they bought it, because they ended up purchasing the exact home that they lived in, by the time they went to purchase that home, the rent was $1,500 a month. Well, after they went in and they purchased the house, the mortgage for the home, and this is what I say in the article, because I list out, I say, okay, well, look, when you're talking about renting, what are your expenses? Your expenses are your rent, your utilities, the repair deductible. Now, they didn't mention that in the loan. In the article, because they're still thinking, just like they're thinking traditionally people paying 20% down, they're still thinking that landlords just paying whatever the repairs are in the house. That ain't the case. You got to pay, in most instances, there's a repair deductible that the tenant is responsible for to ensure that they just ain't in there tearing the house up, just like your insurance. So there's a repair deductible that the renters have to pay, and there's renters insurance. They ain't mentioned that in the article either, that people got to get renters insurance, because the insurance on the house that you in, if something happened, the stuff on the inside ain't covered. So tenants are having to pay renters insurance. Well, they ain't mentioned none of that. All right, so then you think about a house. What are the expenses for owning a home? Well, you have your mortgage, right? You have your utilities, you have repairs, you have property taxes, you have homeowners insurance. Now, they mentioned that to make it seem like it was more expensive. Well, in my particular case study, when they went to purchase the home, all right, so now their rent payments turned into a mortgage payment. The utilities haven't changed. That's going to be the same, right? The repair deductible is really the same because there was a home warranty that was in place. They just carried over the home warranty. So now they still are just paying a repair deductible if anything's broken, because they're going through the home warranty that was in place. So that hasn't changed. The renter's insurance has now changed to renter's insurance was now changed to homeowner's insurance. So, that's just a straight draw, right? So then you bring up property taxes, you bring up the homeowner's insurance. Well, the total mortgage payment for this client that purchased this same house that they had been renting for the last couple of years and it gotten all the way up to $1,500 a month, the mortgage payment when they purchased it, including property taxes and insurance, was $1,095. $1,095, right? They added almost $500 cash flow. Now, they renting it costs more to rent month to month. No, it don't. Yes, it does. They added $500 cash flow to their monthly income by buying the house. I ain't even talking about none of the long-term benefits. I ain't talking about none of that. I ain't talking about the tax deductions. I ain't talking about you being able to use it as a saving vehicle. I ain't talking about none of that. I'm talking about on a month-to-month basis, it was cheaper for them to own the home and live in it by almost $500. Now, how many people could use a $500 raise? $500 per month. That's $6,000 a year. How many people getting $6,000 per year raises? They not. But that ain't what CNBC said. CNBC and Nerd Wallet said that it's more expensive to own a home than it is to rent. So I used this case study to justify that they was wrong. So then I had to talk about the down payment stuff, because how you gonna tell people traditionally people paying 20% down? That is not what people are doing when they buying houses. And I put in there, don't let that scare you. Because yeah, okay, there's a little truth to it. Well, what's the truth? The truth is you paying 20% down if it's an investment property. If it's a vacation home, a second home, yeah, okay, yeah, you paying 20% down traditionally. I'll give you that. But that ain't people that are living in their houses. They have conventional loan products that go all the way down to 3%. That's less than FHA. They got products out there, retail banks. Bank of America got one. I think BBVA Chase has one. It's a conventional loan product, 3% down. That's less than FHA. And then let me go ahead and tell you, FHA 3.5%, VA 0%. And hey, and if down payment is still an issue, we got down payment assistance programs. CNBC, NerdWallet. Let's talk about that stuff. Let's talk about that, right? So I ended with this. I don't know why CNBC or NerdWallet collaborated on such an article. It's erroneous. I don't know why they did it. But what I do know is that, and I took a quote from one of my favorite books, The Richest Man in Babylon. This book was written in 1926. 1926 is when this book was written. And it says, "Thus come many blessings to the man who owneth his own house, and greatly will it reduce his cost of living, make available more of his earnings for pleasures and the gratification of his desires." The same still applies in 2017. So NerdWallet, CNBC, you need to speak with a realtor. You need to speak with somebody that's in the industry. Whatever analysis or computer or algorithm that you're using to trying to determine this stuff, it ain't right. So I wrote this rebuttal. I sent it to the Chronicle. We'll see what comes from it. But my point to you is that this is your business. This is your industry. You have to protect it. And if you run across something like this, that is crazy, because people reading this stuff. And when you're talking to clients, you got to deal with this, right? And just because it has the CNBC stamp on it, to them, it's the gospel. So you have to make sure that you're in a position, number one, that you know what you're talking about. Number two, you're in a position to where you head this stuff off down the road. See, when my people see me submit this article on CNBC, or they may see me in the Chronicle disputing this right here, well, that puts me in a better position to where somebody else sees some other information that comes from Uncle Joe or Zillow or whoever, and they bring it to Michael G. Davis, and Michael G. Davis be like, that's wrong. They can clearly see, I don't care who you are. I'm gonna dispute it if it's not right. So that makes things easier for me when I'm dealing with people, and you got to do the same in your personal business. So I just want to spend a little bit of time going through that as a part of our session today. All right. So the next thing is, guess what? So reading, staying on top of things. You know, the Brooks and Davis big, hairy, audacious goal, our BHAG, is to be the #1 real estate company in profitability and production in the state of Texas by the year 2020. I say that again. That's our big goal, right? We talked about it today. If your dream doesn't scare you, it's too small. So our dream scares me. Yeah, that scares the living bejesus out of me. Be the #1 real estate company in profitability and production in the state of Texas by the year 2020. Now, previously, it was Ebby Halliday, which is a real estate company. It's a firm on the East Texas, North Texas, East Texas. And that was the firm that we were chasing. That was the #1 real estate company in the state of Texas. They did like $7.8 billion worth of production. They had 31 offices. 31 offices, 1,700 agents. They had been around for 71 years, killing it. Ebby Halliday Realtors, look them up. They killing it. East Texas, North Texas. Well, that was the #1 agent. Well, when I read the most current in my magazine, Power Broker survey, to where they survey the top 500 real estate companies in the United States, come to find out, we have a new #1 company in the state of Texas. It is no longer Ebby Halliday Real Estate Realtors. Sorry, Ebby, y'all are not #1 no more, which is cool. So the new #1 real estate company that we are chasing is Keller Williams Realty Arlington. Now, they've done $8.79 billion. So this is where that scary comes in, right? Because we're talking about eclipsing $8.79 billion, not million, that's a B, $1 billion worth of production for us to be number one in the state of Texas. Now, I don't know how many years they've been in existence. They have 14 offices, 4,300 agents, and they did 33,000 transactions in 2016. 33,000 transactions. So this is crazy. So, you know, yeah, they're like, wow, Mike, y'all will never do that. Whatever, we're going to do it. All right. Now, we're going to do it. That's what we're shooting for. It's going to keep us focused like a lighthouse. I mean, we can never rest on our laurels because it's going to take a long time for we can tell ourselves we've arrived if we chasing this type of goal right here. So that's the new number one company that we're chasing as we, you know, push our goal of being the number one real estate company in the state. Keller Williams Realty, Arlington, congratulations. You number one, we coming for you. The average sales price is $260,000. So that's the new number one. Okay. Well, let's see what's next. Now, I wanted to talk about this last week, but I'm gonna talk about it this week. I always like to go back to what you need to be focused on, especially if you're a new agent, and kind of where do you begin. But really, realistically, you should always be monitoring to make sure that you have a healthy dose of these activities in your real estate business. If you don't constantly have a healthy dose of these activities in your real estate business, you're not putting yourself in a position to make money, to be successful, right? I'm gonna say that again. I don't have no problem with saying that. If you do not have a healthy dose of these activities in your real estate business, you are not in a position to where you are going to be making any money, right? And there's nothing that anybody can tell me any different, because it is the truth. I've been in this business too long. I've seen too much. You're not making no money. I can tell you, like if I sit down and have a conversation with somebody and I say, well, how much lead generation you do? And they say, oh, well, you know, I don't really have time for lead generation. I'm just too busy. I'm too busy to lead generate. You ain't making no money. Like, you don't even tell me nothing else. You ain't got to tell me nothing else. I know you're not making money in real estate. If you telling me you too busy to do lead generation. If you too busy to do lead generation, what you doing? Like, if you ain't generating leads, what are you possibly busy doing, right? If you tell me you real busy and I say, well, how many appointments do you go on per week? And if you can't answer that question, or you tell me that you ain't going on none, if I ask you, well, how many contracts are you negotiating on a consistent basis? How many contracts are you negotiating on a daily basis or a weekly basis? If you can't answer that question, if I ask you, do you have a CRM, and you say, well, what's that? Look, you're not making no money. If I ask you, well, how do you keep track of your calendar? How do you operate your calendar? Right? Do you time block? And if you say, well, what's time blocking? Like, you're not making no money. So, you know, if I ask you, well, what's the last book you read, or what's the last seminar you went to? What's the last class you took? And like, oh, well, I took a class last year. Listen, man, you're not making no money. So I encourage you that if you don't have a healthy dose of these activities in your business, you need to get immediately a healthy dose of these activities, and you need to monitor it. You need to pay attention to how many hours of lead generation you're doing a day, right? You need to be paying attention and monitoring how many contacts are you making? How many people are you following up with? How many appointments are you going on a weekly basis? How many contracts are you negotiating that's currently in your pipeline? We do it every week. When I pull up that slide that shows how much production we have on the board, that's me monitoring how many contracts that we're negotiating. Now, that doesn't include the ones that haven't made it on the board yet because they haven't been signed. But I can tell you right now, the corporate team at this moment has at least 4 contracts that are under negotiation, right? They haven't been executed. They're under negotiation. We're moving towards getting them executed, right? And look, they asked me the last class I went to last Thursday. I went to the Matrix class, right? Next week, I got a conference that I'm attending, the Black Enterprise Conference next week. Every day, I try to spend at least an hour reading a book, an hour reading magazines and the Houston Chronicle. So it's every day, it's a daily thing that we're working on. CRM, you got Wise Agent, you have Excel, you have Top Producer, right? You don't have to spend money. I push Wise Agent because I know how to explain it. I know how to train people on it. I did my research and I felt like that was the best one for the value at the time. But I didn't get a CRM until I was 8 years in real estate. And as soon as I got one and it helped me get organized, I was kicking myself in the butt on why it took me so long to get one. Well, nobody told me any better. So that ain't gonna be you all's excuse, because I know y'all done heard me say on plenty of occasions, you need to get your CRM. Right now, we got north of 12,000 people in our CRM, right? And it helps us stay organized. I was just using it yesterday, like I use it every day. I was using it yesterday because when I follow up with people in my sphere of influence, I reached out to a couple of past clients just to let them know that I was still alive and see if they had any business, any leads. I'm doing the stuff that I'm telling y'all to do. I'm not just telling y'all to do it. I'm doing it. And you know, the interesting thing is that from a text message that I sent to a past client of mine that I closed on their house multiple years ago, she responded with, I have a client that's relocating. Husband is a recruiter for the Texans. Next year, they need to be closer to the city. They're actively looking right now. They need somewhere in the loop. I got that from a text message that just said, hey, checking in with you, want to see how things is going, right? So I'm telling you, but I didn't memorize the lady's number. I went to my CRM with my phone and pulled up her phone number. And on my list showed that I hadn't talked to her since October. So I needed to reach out to her and just check in. So those are the kind of things and the activities that you need to be doing on a daily basis. That's going to position you and put you in a position where you negotiating 4 contracts, you closing 6 deals a month. You know, those are the things that you have to do, but you have to make sure that you are in a position where you can see those things. We have Create Your New Life sessions on this stuff, right? Everything that's on this list, we have Create Your New Life sessions about. When it comes to getting organized and the calendar, we have a session about that. Talked about lead generation and lead follow-up. You know, got to get organized is the name of the session for the one where we talk about the time blocking and the calendar and the CRM. CRM is get you a vitamin box. Going on appointments, I think I talked about that in connecting the dots. And connecting the dots, I think I talked about lead generation. Actually, all of it, I think I talked about in connecting the dots. The same thing with negotiating contracts. And, you know, self-improvement is self-explanatory. So, you know, you have to make sure that you're paying attention on if you're doing this or not. If your end game is not to make money in real estate, then I don't know what else to tell you. My end game is to make money. And it's not because of the love of money, which is the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. So I don't love money above anything else. It's God, family, business. I get it. I know I have my priorities, but I don't have a problem with saying that I'm trying to make money, because look, money, you can do things with money, right? You can have a certain quality of life, different pleasures of life. You can help people. If you want to help people, you can do that with money, right? You can, if you structure it to where you don't have to worry about your bills getting paid because of the amount of money that you're making, then it frees up your time to where you can go do things and help people and serve people. So, you know, money is like oxygen. You need it, man. You need to make money. It's like you need to breathe. So I don't have a problem with that. So if you're in real estate and you're not trying to make money, then you maybe need to have a session. You need to go take a sabbatical, do some internal reflection to figure out to see if this is the thing for you. Because real estate business is a grand vehicle to ultimately create this new life that I'm trying to get you all to go with. Well, I ain't trying to get you to go with it. I know you want to create a different life. That's why most people get in real estate. So we're here to help develop and hold your hand through it to get you to that point. And these are the things that you need to constantly be looking at and monitoring and listening to me about. Okay, so now for the remainder of the time, I'm going to be pulling some stuff from our Agent Development Institute. I feel like it's a good opportunity. It's a good time for me to start pulling some nuggets from the ADI. Now, for those that are not familiar with the ADI is a coaching accountability program for my full-time agents. It's one of those things, though, where you just can't get in it at any time. There's an open enrollment period, just like health insurance. When you sign up in a job, you have open enrollment. So I'm going to be doing another open enrollment. I know I'm going to do another one before the end of the year. But right now I have 4 agents, full-time career agents, that are going through the ADI. And I think they're doing a phenomenal job as far as going through what we have in there. So if you are a full-time agent or you're thinking about becoming a full-time agent, when I send out my call for the open enrollment for the new session of the ADI, you have to come to the interest meeting, right? Listen, I'll have some of these past agents that are in there give testimonies and let you know how it works. But the goal of it is to take you from where you are, to exponentially higher heights in 15 months. That's the goal of the program, to take you from where you are to an exponentially higher place financially in 15 months, if you do what we tell you to do. Now, we say if you're a new agent and you haven't made any money, we take you from $0 to 70,000 in a 15-month period, right? 0 to 70 grand in a 15-month period. Now, remember, the average real estate agent nationally makes $40,000 a year based on the U.S. Census and Labor and Statistics. That's average. But we know the average is skewed because the bottom 33% of our people in real estate license do between 0 and 1 deal a year. That's the bottom third. So if the bottom third is only doing 0 to 1%, I mean 1 deal in a 12-month period, then really for us to average $40,000 is really because that top 5 or 10% is just killing it, like Keller Williams Arlington, who's doing $8.79 billion in 33 transactions and only have 4,300 agents, right? It's because that top is killing it in so magnificently that it's bringing the average up, right? But the reality of it is, when you talk to agents, people that you talk to or hang out with or whatever, and they're not making money. So the ADI program, the ADI is really built around you financially getting to a position and say, hey, you've made money in real estate. Okay, so now you've made more than $0. Well, again, we want to take you from, or say you've made 70 already. Well, if you're already making 70 grand, we want to take you from 70,000 to exponentially greater heights in 90 days. It's a coaching program. And most coaching programs, whether it's Brian Buffini or some of the other ones out there, you're going to be paying multiple thousands of dollars in most instances. You know, Keller Williams has a coaching program called MAPS. I think it's like $1,000 a month. You know, this is something that you get by being a part of Brooks & Davis, because we're committed to your success. So I just wanted to plug in a quick commercial for the ADI. And again, when I send out the information about the interest meeting, I am going to do another open enrollment before the end of the year. When I send out the information about the interest meeting, if you're a full-time agent, you need to be hearing about the program and getting involved with this program. Okay. All right. So now, first thing that I'm going to pull from in our ADI, we talk about the mind. We talk about getting your mind right. Right. 90% of this thing is mental. Right. As in anything, 90% of it is between your ears. Again, I quoted Henry Ford earlier. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right. It's all about what you think. So the first thing we talk about is achievement. So let's talk about achievement. You want to succeed. You want to achieve certain things. You want to have a level of success in this business. Whether that's you want to make $100,000 or $1 million, or you want to do 100 transactions or 25 transactions, whatever. You got a goal. There's a level of achievement that you want to make. Well, what most people don't do is that even if we can get you to set the goal, because most people won't even set one, they just moving, right? I tell people all the time, a goal is like a destination. If I say, okay, we're gonna go on vacation for the summertime. Now we don't set no destination, we just get in the car and start driving. What does that look like? But that's how most people are operating their business. They ain't got no destination in place. They just get up every day and, you know, wherever the wind take me is what's gonna happen. There's no intentionality around what they do. So it's the same thing. It's on vacation now. We just gonna get in the car and bounce. Right? It's just it's absurd. But that's how most people do it. So, but that's if we can get them to come up with a goal or an achievement, right? Say what you want. Say, hey, we're going to California. Boom. So then you know how to dress, you know which direction to take, you know whether to take the car or to rent a car. You know how much money you need to bring. Like you see all these things that that come into play once you pick a destination, right? That don't come into play if there is no destination. All of that is tied into it. So once you pick the goal and you figure all those things out, well, the second step, we have a lesser chance of getting people to go to the second step. Because see, now you have to reverse engineer it. Like, that's one of my favorite words, because I'm an engineer. So you have to reverse engineer it. You take it and you take it apart. That's one of the things my mama used to always say about me, is that I tear up stuff. I wasn't tearing up stuff. I just wanted to see what made it tick. So I would take it apart. I put it back together. But you got to reverse engineer it. So you say, well, this is what I want to achieve. Whether that's $100,000. We'll say I want to achieve $100,000 a year in real estate. So that's my achievement. That's my goal. Well, the process of reverse engineering has to do with, well, what are those actions? What are the actions that you need to do to achieve that $100,000 a year? This is your achievement. What are my actions that I need to be doing, right? Well, y'all know the answer. You need to be lead generating, lead following up, going on appointments, negotiating contracts, and self-improvement, and be organized and have your CRM. We already talked about it. So we know what actions you need to be doing for you to achieve, from a support standpoint, from a financial standpoint, what you need. Now, but there's a second step, because even if you know what you need to do, like in this instance, Brooks and Davis agents know what they need to do, because Davis then told you what you need to do. If you want to achieve this, these are the actions that you need to take. Even if you know, this is where everybody gets tripped up. You got to take one more step back and go to your belief system. Because see, your beliefs, your actions, and your actions drive your achievement. Say that again. Your beliefs drive your actions drive your achievement. So if you know what to do, but you're not doing it, then there's a problem with what you believe. You don't believe that lead generation is important. If you're not lead generating, then you don't believe it's important. If you don't time block your calendar, then you don't believe time blocking your calendar is important for you to achieve what you're trying to achieve. So you can't say, I want $100,000. I need to time block my calendar and lead generate, but I'm not doing those things. But I believe it's important. You can't say that. You can't say you believe it's important if the activities don't line up. You can't. You cannot stop it. People are doing it though. They're doing it. I hear it all the time. It's important, but you don't do it. But still, that don't mean it's not important. Yes, it does. Yes. Listen, my kids are important to me. You know how you know my kids are important to me? Because yesterday I was at Old McDonald Farm on a field trip with my 4-year-old. My actions line up with it. right? Yesterday evening, I was outside at 7:30 at night coaching a t-ball game for my little man, right? My kids are important to me. Brooks and Davis is important to me. You know how? You know Brooks and Davis is important to me? Because every morning I'm on a coaching call with my ADI agents. Every week I'm on a Create Your New Life session with my people. You guys call me, I answer the phone. I show up every day ready to go take care of business. It's important. My actions line up, right? So you can't say that you believe something if your actions don't line up. But you got to get your belief to line up to where to produce the action, because the action is going to drive the achievement. So if you're not achieving what you want to achieve, it's because you're not doing what you need to be doing. And the reason you're not doing what you need to be doing is because you don't believe a certain thing. You don't believe a certain way around it. Listen, maybe my word ain't good enough. I get it. You ain't got to believe me. Maybe it ain't. Maybe I'm not credible enough. I'm not a credible enough source. That's cool. I'll take no offense to that. I know what's work. I don't have to prove it. The truth can stand all by itself. It's like a lion. What they say, this is a quote from a quote that I actually quoted in my to my teacher's training for my Sunday school class. It was by a Catholic priest. And he said, the truth is like a lion. He says, you let it loose and it'll defend itself. I ain't got to defend my truth. I know it's true. So I let it loose and it defend itself, right? So, but say I'm not a credible source. But there are plenty. Do your own research. Do your own research. Read some books. Look, Gary Keller wrote a great book called A Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And in that book, he interviewed millionaire real estate agents, people killing it. Read that book. If my word ain't good enough, read that word. Now listen, now if they word ain't good enough neither, like if my word ain't good enough, they word ain't good enough, because he shows in there the amount of money that these people have been making. I don't know who would have to talk to you. Maybe Donald Trump. Maybe Donald Trump got to talk to you, your president. Anyway, my point is this. You got to get your beliefs. You got to gain control of your beliefs, because that's what's driving your achievement, right? If you don't control your beliefs and what you believe and how you see things, if you don't expand your worldview and expose yourself to something more than what you've been exposed to, then your actions are continue to come up short of what they need to be for you to achieve what you want to achieve, right? That's simple. So that's one of the first things that we deal with, is dealing with getting your mind right. That's why I call it get your mind right. Your mind ain't right. All right, so the second thing is, as an entrepreneur, and listen, all of you are entrepreneurs. All of you are entrepreneurs. And there's a difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner, right? There's a difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner. Okay, let me tell you what the difference is. I can be a business owner. Somebody can give me a business, right? They can give me a business and I operate that business, right? Business owners can be managers. They can be maintainers, right? I maintain the business. I'm continuing it to move in a direction, to make sure that it's making money and it's going on a particular trajectory. It's kind of like driving a train. I'm just making sure that it stay on the track and it keep going in the same direction that it's been going in, right? I'm the conductor of the business, right? An entrepreneur is a person you're a creator. You create things, right? You create something out of nothing, right? You're a problem solver, right? You create solutions. You create alternatives. You create opportunities, right? If you're going to be successful in real estate, as a real estate professional, as a real estate agent, you have to be an entrepreneur, because the business, there's nobody, once you get your real estate license and you walk and you get into this business, there's nobody handing you something to manage and maintain. You have to create something out of nothing for yourself. You have to create clients. You have to create leads. You have to create systems, processes. You have to create those things. Even if I show you what they look like, even if I tell you how to create them, you still have to create it. That's an entrepreneur. That's entrepreneurship. We're creators. You're a creator, right? So you're not just a business owner. So as an entrepreneur, You don't get paid to work. You get paid to produce results. Because see, that's what makes you an entrepreneur. It's based on the results that you're creating, right? It's based on, it's not, look, I'll use the whole conductor analogy. It's not based on how long you stay on the train and you drive the train. You don't get paid on just staying on the train and driving the train to Dallas. An entrepreneur gets paid on how fast you get there, right? That's results. We want it here at a certain amount of time. You get it here at a certain amount of time, and then we're gonna pay you. Not if you get, not just because you get it here. You got to get it here at a certain amount of time. Those are results. So as an entrepreneur, as an agent, buyers, sellers, tenants, whoever, you get paid, they pay you when you produce the results that they need. Then buying a house, they selling their house, they getting in a rental home, whatever. But it's all about the results, which means just because you have a house listed for 90 days, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, just because you have it listed and you went and took the pictures and you put the sign in the yard and put the lockbox on there and you even showed it to people and you even had communicated with other agents, you even may have had a negotiated contracts that the seller didn't accept. Even if you did all of that and after 12 months, your listing agreement expired, you ain't getting paid. You're not getting no check for everything that you did. Yeah, you put in all this activity and you put in all this energy and all this work, but you're not getting paid because entrepreneurs don't get paid to work. They get paid to produce results. So now let me flip the script. So if you listed that house Thursday, you listed the house Thursday, had it on the MLS on Friday, had a contract on Saturday, and was closed on Monday, you gonna get a check Monday. It ain't got nothing to do with the fact that you didn't have it for 4 days. Matter of fact, look, say you didn't put it on the MLS. Say you listed it today and you got a contract tomorrow and the seller agreed on it and they closed on Monday. You ain't did nothing. You still getting paid your check that you negotiated for the result that was produced for your seller. It has nothing to do with time. It has nothing to do with energy and work. It ain't got nothing to do with that. See, you put in the work to bring the opportunity. That's where you put in the work. You don't necessarily have to put in the work on the actual transaction, because what you'll find is the hard work in creating the business and creating the systems and the processes that it becomes, if you do that effectively and successfully, you'll see that the end result doesn't take as much energy and work because you put in, because the type of deals and the type of opportunities that come from that are a lot easier in most instances to get to the finish line. So as entrepreneurs, which you all are entrepreneurs, this is what it is. Now, again, as an entrepreneur agent, you don't get paid for time or for showing up. I kind of said that again. Nobody's cutting you a check for showing up to a listing appointment. Nobody's cutting you a check for showing up to a buyer appointment. Even if they hire you, nobody's cutting you a check for driving that buyer all over Houston just because you drove them all over Houston and spent a bunch of time with them. Nobody's paying you for that. Nobody's paying you for, taking a tenant and going to show multiple rental houses. Nobody paying you for that. Nobody's paying you for having a 45-minute long conversation on the phone with somebody that got bad credit. Nobody paying you for that, right? So as an entrepreneur, you don't get paid for time and you don't get paid for showing up. I even use it coming to the office. Nobody's paying you for coming to the Brooks and Davis corporate office. If you choose to come in this office and not do nothing, not make no phone calls, just sit here and fool around with April, well, I ain't gonna let you fool around with April because I got work for her to do. So, but if you just want to come in here and you want to sit down and walk around and, get on the computer, get on Facebook, get on your phone, I don't know. But my point is, if you ain't coming in here and you working on specific items that we've talked about, just you coming into the office, ain't nobody giving you no check. People get paid for showing up when they have jobs. This is not a job. You are an entrepreneur. You have to create. You want money, you want to eat, you have to create it. And nobody's handing it to you. There's no handouts in this business. And look, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. If it was easy, then the bottom 3% of the industry wouldn't be doing just 0 to 1 deal a month. If it was easy, then the average would be more than 40,000. Even though we got 2 million agents across the United States, 35,000 in the Houston Metroplex. If it was easy, we'd have way more than that. It ain't easy. So it ain't. But look, it's simple. It's simple, but it ain't easy to get there. It's going to take some intelligence, some innovation, some work. Now, when I say it's going to take some work, I'm talking about mentally. It's going to take you to think. Use your mind, right? I got that. Let me tell you, I was listening to, I don't even know how I ended up looking at this, but I was looking at something on YouTube and it had to do with Tupac. It was and it said that he was getting interviewed in the jail. He was in jail. He had been arrested. This was in 1994. And he was getting sued by a policeman who had got killed by somebody else. And the policeman's family was suing Tupac because they were saying that his lyrics was the reason that the person killed the police officer. So the attorney representing the family of the police officer was in jail, questioning him. And one of the things that Tupac said, because the attorney asked him, well, if you're expecting, what do you want the people that listen to your music to do? He's trying to insinuate that he's wanting the people that listen to his music to shoot cops, right? Tupac said, the thing that I want people to do that are listening to my music, I want them to think. That's the reason. His lyrics, his music, all the stuff that he was presenting, he was trying to present his case when it came to the interactions of the police and things like that, was to get people to think for themselves before they moved, before they acted, before they did certain things. It was about thinking. And that's what this is. This is a thinking man's game. Real estate is a thinking man's game. You got to be creative. You got to be innovative as an entrepreneur. Now, number 4, when you work for yourself, no one has to get you started in the morning. Nobody got to get you going, right? If somebody got to get you up out of bed, then it ain't gonna work. That's all I can say. If somebody got to get you going, it ain't gonna work. If you went and worked for one of these oil companies out here, or at the medical center or whatever, and they say, yo, you got to be to work for 7 o'clock, you get up, you go to work for 7 o'clock. You work for the city of Houston or whatever. Everybody had a job. They told you what time to be there. You got up and you went there. Now, what motivated you to get up and be there at 7 o'clock if the boss said be there at 7 o'clock? Because you know, if you didn't get there at 7 o'clock, you might lose that job and lose that paycheck. So that paycheck was driving you, it was motivating you. It was getting you up every day, right? Well, now, since I'm telling you, you don't have that. You don't have that hanging over your head, that fear of loss, you losing the job, losing that income stream. You don't have that over your head in the morning now. So now you have to have something other than that to get you up out of the bed every morning. Now, I'll let you in on a secret. I know what it is. It's the same thing for everybody. It's what we talk about in the ADI. You have to have a big why. You have to have a why. A big reason or a big why is what has to be the thing to get you up out of bed. My big why has me getting ready, going to work, working, beginning between 8 and 8:30 at night. 8 and 8:30 in the morning every day, period. My big why has me working till 5 o'clock, at least 5 o'clock every evening. That's my big why. My big why also has me going on field trips with my little girl, T-ball practice, working in my church. My big why has me doing all those things. When I say a big why, I say something on the inside of you that drives you. It's called self-actualization, fulfillment, purpose, right? I do what I do in trying to make money because I want to make a better life for my kids and my wife, right? That's what drives me. That's my big why. That's why I get up every day, is because I want my family, my wife, my kids to experience certain luxuries, to see certain areas of this magnificent, humongous world that we live in, right? I want to be able to cut big checks to my church to help people so they can continue to do the great service that they're doing. I get up every day because I want to create systems so I can free up the time to where if for an entire 90 days, I don't want to do nothing but just vagabond across Europe. I want to be in a position to do that, right? With me and my family. So you have to have something, a burning, urging, yearning to do something that's going to move you to action every morning. There is zero problem me getting up out of bed every morning. I mean, until I went and got back surgery for donating the bone marrow, I was getting up at 4:45 in the morning. 4:45 because I needed to get my workout in, but I didn't want to sacrifice being able to start working at 8 o'clock, 8:30. So I had to get up at 4:45 in the morning, right? Now I'm got to get back. My recovery process is taking a lot longer than I expected. Hopefully by next week, I'll be ready. I can kind of get myself back into that regimen. Now it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy getting myself to a point where I would get up that early, but you know, again, it was what I believed. It was about my belief system, which drove my actions, and it accomplished my achievement. So no one has to get you started. Number 5, if you've never failed, you'll never succeed. If you've never failed, you'll never have success. Listen, there's so many people out here so afraid of failure. So afraid of failure. Failure is a part of the process. Just got to be committed to the process, period. You are going to fail. You are going to make, as in your creation and you creating things, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have an epiphany and say, hey, you know, maybe I should do this. And then you start putting energy and you start putting time and you start moving in a direction and it fails and it bottoms out and it doesn't work, right? The problem is that people are afraid that that's going to happen, so they never move to do anything. They had that big epiphany and that aha, and they say, you know what? That is a great idea, but it may not work. So I'm not going to even try. I'm not going to even attempt it. And that's the problem, right? And that's what's preventing a lot of people from having a level of success in their career, in their life, right? I know Mike said I need to call these for sale by owners, but I'm afraid that they're going to tell me no. So since I'm afraid they're going to tell me no, I'm not going to call them. Why? What if you say yes? You won't know because you won't call them because you're scared. You're scared of rejection. And so what? So they say no. So what? They hang up in your face. They curse you out. They say don't call them no more. And so what? You know what? You know what no means? It means next one. Call somebody else. Call another one and another one and another one and another one. Every week we pull close to 20 plus for sale by owners off of Zillow. We always gonna have a for sale by owner. Always gonna have somebody that think they can sell their house by themselves. But you know what statistics say? Statistics say 85% of for sale by owners eventually hire a realtor. 85% of them. Numbers don't lie. They gonna pick somebody. The problem is they're not picking you because you won't call them. You can't keep letting fear of failure prevent you from being successful. All of this stuff starts in the head. I'm not talking about stuff that physical things. I'm not talking about things that you can't accomplish because they're too physically demanding or out of your league. I'm talking about these are things that are in between your ears, your brain, your mind. All this stuff is in your head. These are stories that you telling yourself that's forming your belief system and preventing the actions needed for you to achieve. This is the stuff that we're talking about today. And this is one of the first things that we deal with in the ADI, because I can't even talk getting you to make 70 grand if you don't believe you can make 70 grand. If I don't get you past that, then it ain't even no point in talking about that. So we gotta deal with your mind first, because we know I only use your actions. I use your actions as evidence to see what you believe. That's the only thing I use your actions for, as evidence to see what you believe. Because again, you can't tell me you believe something and your actions don't line up, right? And then because I know what actions it takes for you to achieve something, at the end of the day, I'm just looking at what you're doing, because what you're doing is going to determine what you achieve or not, right? I was talking to one of the agents yesterday. You got to stay committed to the process. I think when after the game, I think maybe during halftime, they was interviewing, Kawhi Leonard or somebody they was interviewing. And what he said was, coach just tells us to stay committed to the process, right? That's what the actions are. It's the process. Just stay committed to it. Maintain your belief. Don't listen to the stories in the back of your head. Have the credibility. That nobody can dissuade me on my belief, because I've had it tested too many times. Not only with my own experience, but from the word of other individuals that have made boatloads more money than me in this business. So because it's been tried and it's true, nobody can shake me on what I believe. I'm grounded and solidified in it. So if I'm doing and I'm operating a particular action, and I may not see the results right now, I may not see the achievement right now, I'm still going to stay committed to the process. And I'm going to do it however long it takes, because I believe at some point the achievement will arise, right? All I got to do is just look at the last 12 years. Look at the last amount of growth. Just look from once we've come. Brooks and Davis didn't start out with 47 real estate agents making, multiple $1 million a year of production. Brooks and Davis started out with me and Larry. The end. 2008. Me and Larry. Patrick was our very first agent. But he started out as our first assistant, and then he ended up getting his real estate license. But it started with me and Larry. And before Brooks and Davis, it just started with me. And it started with me going and enrolling in my first class at Champion School of Real Estate. I went to Prairie View, got my transcripts and all the other stuff. But I enrolled my very first class is where Brooks and Davis started from, right? So when I sit there and I say, well, look, we shoot to knock off somebody that's making $8.7 billion, I believe that. Because if I can go from just enrolling in one class, have no clue, any knowledge about real estate, and if I can go from there to where we are now, then there's no doubt in my mind that I can go from where we are now to what we're looking to achieve. No doubt in my mind. So it's the same thing with you. You got to get some fortitude within yourself of what you believe, because that's what's going to drive it. So I'm not here, listen, I'm not here to just get y'all rah-rah up. I'm not going to be no cheerleader and get you a bunch of energy and any of that stuff. I'm not doing that. What I'm saying is that you have to control what you think and what you believe. And a lot of that is driven from the self-improvement aspect of the activities I'm telling you need to do. You're reading, you're being exposed, your conferences and things that you go to. You gotta put yourself in that environment, because that's what's going to fuel your belief system, and you'll look up and you'll be different and you'll change, and you won't be the same that you were last year or 2 years ago or 5 years ago. You'll be a better you. It all comes from that. So that fear of failure, you got to do something with that. If you've never failed, you'll never have success. Failure is a part of the process. You will fail, so don't be scared of it. All right. The last thing that we're going to end with today is the mind of a top agent. So the mind of a top agent. So we spent our Create Your New Life session dealing with those agents, those top agents, right? And those 42 habits that define them, those 42 habits that they have, right? Well, of those 42 habits, 7 of them had to deal with their mind, right? So we're going to look at those real quick. and then we're going to finish up. Now, this is actually one of the documents that we utilize in the ADI program. This is your get your mind right form. And the participants of the program, they have to fill this form out. Well, on there, we look at the mind of the top agent. So the 7 habits was that they choose their attitude. They're driven by a big why. We talked about that earlier. They're not afraid of no. We talked about that. They embrace feedback. They're willing to do the hard things. They come from contribution. All of that is mental. All of that is belief, right? So in the ADI, first thing is that what is your big why? Your big why cannot be, I just want to make money. No, that's not strong enough. That ain't gonna be enough to get you out. That ain't gonna be enough to when your body, everything in your body is just saying, don't get out the bed, for you to get out the bed anyway. Just because I want to make money. It ain't gonna be enough. It ain't gonna be enough for when you just got to make that one. It's like you set a goal to make 10 calls and you on call number 8. And everything is saying, man, you done did 8. Let's just go. That ain't going to be enough for you to make them last 2 phone calls just because you want to make money. That ain't strong enough. So you gotta come up with a strong enough why, a reason of why you're going to do this thing. And I'm going to give you a clue. If it's about you, it ain't strong enough. The strongest whys have to be about other people, whether that's your parents, whether that's your kids, whether that's your family, whether that's your, you want to just save the world. Maybe you want to save the whales. I don't know, but it's got to be about something other than you or somebody other than you. Maybe you want to go on missions and you want to help people in Haiti. But it's got to be about something else. Something where if you don't do it, it won't get done. Period. Right? It's your hero complex. How you want to help. Your big why has to be fueled, has to come from that place. Right? And then we have here, the second one is what gives you fear around no. All right? You got to be honest with yourself. If you're afraid of no, you have to own that, because you can't get past it until you own it. And it's not something that you have to get through overnight. We all start there. I started being afraid of no when I first got into sales. I mean, who likes to be told no? Who likes rejection? If you like rejection, something wrong with you mentally. Nobody just likes rejection. It just, all right? So I get it. It's not something that you want. It's not comfortable. I get it. But it is something that you have to get past, because it's something that can prevent you. It can be a barrier. It can be a roadblock, and you got to get past it. So you first got to ask yourself, well, what gives me fear around no? What gives me fear around rejection? And then you put it in its place and understand that at the end of the day, because see, once you create that big why. So if I say my why is my kids and my wife, well, if for sale my owner curses me out and hangs up in my phone, well, that doesn't affect my big why. Like, my kids not gonna love me no less. My wife not gonna love me no less. You know, when I come into the house and I hear them little feet patting because Morgan about to run up to me full speed ahead and almost knock me to my butt. That ain't gonna change just because a for sale by owner didn't want me to list his house, or an expired listing got mad when I knocked on the door because he felt some kind of way about it, or a client fired me because they felt like they wasn't getting this level of service, or even over a miscommunication. Could have been something I didn't do, and it was a miscommunication and I got fired. But whatever the case, that's how you deal with all of that. Is that you have that strong why and understand that these things aren't impacting the why. I just need to move to the next one because I'm serious about getting where I'm trying to get to. So what gives you fear around no? What gives you fear around feedback? A lot of times we don't like criticism. We don't like to be criticized. We don't like people, you know, that's why we don't do surveys. We don't do ratings. Listen, that's where the industry's going, baby. People want to know rate. They want to rate you. Before we do any, before we make, as consumers, before we make buying decisions, we get on Google and we look for ratings. We look for testimonies. We look for what other people didn't use the product first. What other people had to say about this vacation that we're going to go on, this cruise that we didn't attend, this hotel we're going to stay in, this meal, this restaurant we're going to go to, right? And they doing the same thing about what this realtor that I'm about to use. What are other people saying? What are the ratings? You got to do surveys. You got to do ratings. You got to send it to the people. Whether you did a good job or a bad job, you got to send it to them, right? Because if you don't have no ratings, they're gonna move on. You had no stars. Think about it. We go to a restaurant. We thinking about what kind of restaurant we want to go to, and we come across one that don't have no stars. We don't spend no time entertaining that. You got to get you some stars. You got to get you some ratings, right? To give you a chance of being picked. So before you to do that, you got to deal with that belief system in your head. And it may be uncomfortable that you get some feedback that's negative. You may get a 1 star. You take that information, you sit back and you fix what needs to be fixed, right? I think my mama used to, my grandma used to say, when somebody give you something, you eat the meat and you spit out the bones. Somebody give you some feedback, you eat up what works, what can help you improve, because you should always be improving. You take the information that can help you improve, and then if the other stuff is foolishness or crazy, spit it out, right? But don't not get feedback. You got to get feedback, right? And you got to wrap your mind around it and get your belief for that, all right? The next thing is, what are the hard things for you? When it comes to you running your business, what are the hard things for you, right? Maybe, a lot of people like to say, well, I'm just not a good salesperson. Well, too bad. You better become one, because this is what's going to be required. It's required in this business for you to make phone calls. I don't like talking to people on the phone. Well, listen, you got to do it. I don't like network. I don't like going to events in the evening. Man, you got to do it. You got to network. You got to build relationships. You got to make phone calls. So even if it isn't something that you like to do, it's a hard thing for you. It's a part of running business. So you got to get past this. I'm an engineer. My degree is in chemical engineering. I'm an analytical person. I like fixing stuff. I like fixing problems, right? I like for somebody to let me come into my office, shut the door, throw away the key, and give me an impossible problem to solve and let me go to work by myself. I'm an introvert. I like going to the movies by myself. Sometimes I just like driving and sitting just by me. But you know what I learned real quick getting in real estate? You're going to make zero money not being around people. So it wasn't easy for me to get past that. People look at me and think I'm a natural extrovert. I ain't no extrovert. I trained myself to be this because it was required. It was required in the business that we was in. And then as I continued to push past it and work through it, it just got easy. It got natural. But I wasn't born with this. And even now, sometimes I still don't feel like being bothered. I lose energy. I stay at a networking event too long, I'll be ready to go. But I have to push myself and say, no, we got to do this. We got to do this. It's just gotten easier for me because I've been in it long enough. I built the momentum. I put in the work. I put in the hard work, the upfront stuff. So yeah, now I can go somewhere and somebody know me and introduce me to somebody and I network, and it's easy. I don't require a lot of energy, but it didn't start out that way. Right? It was a very hard thing for me to do as I got going because it's not my natural inclination. I'd rather be by myself. Right? And then the last one is, what do you believe? Here we go. What do you believe you can contribute to your clients, your customers, your colleagues, and the real estate industry? You have to understand that you have to come from contribution. You're here to give something. And there is plenty that you can give to clients, customers, colleagues, and the real estate industry. Okay? Look, I just helped the real estate industry out by debunking this foolish article that CNBC wrote. I just helped the industry out, right? You can offer. There is plenty that you can offer to those people, clients, customers, your colleagues, that's your loan officers, title companies, appraisers, inspectors, other real estate agents, not just Brooks and Davis agents, but there's plenty that you can offer. Listen, there's so much opportunity around here. You don't have to worry about, because if somebody else gonna get something, you gonna lose. Like, you ain't gotta worry about that. It's an abundance, period. It is, man. There is no, that person gets something, we taking away. I ain't gotta take $1 out of Keller Williams Arlington's pocket for us to surpass them as a real estate company. I'm not even seeing it that way. It's not a transfer. It's creation. It's creative. We're going to create the wealth and the production that we need to surpass them. So you don't have to be a closed door as far as disseminating information. You don't have to protect it. Now, it ain't easy. It's something I battle with. Like, you know, what if somebody going to take what I done? What if they take it? Well, so what? Let them take that. I'm going to create something better or different. I'm not going to lose. So you have to come from contribution. Because what I found is that that's the best way for you to grow and be successful, because that's how people buy into you. When you give, it's the law of reciprocity, right? When you give, people feel obligated to give back. So just be an open door. That's why it's that much more important to continually be growing, because if you're continuing to grow and learn and build, then you'll always have something to offer. Right? If you stop growing, if you stop learning and developing, then at some point you won't have anything to offer. So that's why it's important that we're, like our values say, continually improving, operating in the most productive manner. That's why it's so important, because you always want to have a full wellspring to pull from, to contribute to people, right? There we go. All right, so we're going to continue in this vein, you know, at least another session, probably a couple of more sessions, just giving you some nuggets out of the ADI that we're really using to help. Again, our focus is to get you from where you are now to an exponentially greater level financially in 15 months. And unfortunately, it can only be for our full-time agents because of the time commitment that is required. You can't do it on I did try to design it to where I could include my part-time agents. It just wasn't doable. So I haven't started yet, but I am going to at some point start working on a program that I can somewhat get my part-time agents, and the point of that program would be to get you from working to be full-time in a certain amount of time, right? That's going to be the focus of that program, to get you to be able to fire your job and then come in here and get in this thing full-time, and then maybe at that point transition you into the ADI Institute. So you guys just help me try to kind of figure that thing out a little bit. With that being the case, that's all I have for today. Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything, any coaching that I can help out with? Please let me know.
I do. I really want to fire my job, so hurry up and get on that.
Absolutely, Valerie. Absolutely. Duly noted. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else have any questions or coaching or comments that I can help you out with today? If not, then we are going to shut it down. God willing, we'll see y'all next week. I'm going to get my music going so I can bob my head to the music. Let me see what we got. There we go.
Oh, this new crazy
Ah, yeah. All right, y'all have a great one. Another one in the books. Create your life. Create your life. Real estate session in the books. God willing. We'll see y'all next week. Y'all have a great one. Go Rockets.